Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Greetings, my fellow cheapskates, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another edition of Warhammer Wednesdays. This is where we basically upload every other week our Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports for this channel, and this is Battle Report number 106 of the Golden Age, and this is a 3,000 point battle that is fought between Ogre Kingdoms as well as Bretonnians. My friend Mama Khan is bringing the Legion of the Hellmouth, a 3,000 point Ogre Kingdoms army, and I'm bringing the Blackstone Crusade, my 3,000 point Bretonnian army. So far I'm having a blast playing my Bretonnians. We're going through the paces which each of the armies in the studio and take on every single one of the armies in our Warhammer Fantasy Battle studio that we have, and of course to see exactly how these guys stack up against the competition. So that being said, a little quick, we're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what the armies are consisting of in this one, we'll show you photos of both armies as well as army lists, or you can check down the description box below and you can also see the army list located there as well. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought, or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then to hell with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Alright, so the scenario rules for this one is Battle Line. It is the most typical game of Warhammer we play on this channel with standard deployment as well as standard victory conditions. So with the scenario rules, let's go and talk about the battle plan for this battle. And here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, we're playing on a 4x6 table. I am deployed on the far side of the table, while Mama Khan and her forces are deployed on the near side of the table. And pretty much my plan is, once again, it's just trying to attack forward as well as try to sweep from the left is what I'm going to try to do for the most part. I am playing Bretonnians, so my army isn't all that complicated. I just got to get successful charges off against the ogres and hopefully destroy them that way. I do have my work cut out for me, though, because the ogres play exactly the same way. They're conducive to just charging forward as quick as they can and getting stuck in. The only thing I really have going for me for the most part, though, is that I do outnumber my opponent. I'm also faster than Mama Khan, and I also have better armor saves as well. And that's really about it. She does have 2 hell cannons in this army. She's also got a stone horn that I got to worry about as well. So pretty much my plan is to take on the stone horn with my Grill Knights as well as my questing knights, destroy the left-hand flank, and then sweep left with those units. And at the same time, charge forward my Knights Errant as well as my Knights of the Realm as well as my other unit of questing knights forward and try to catch and pincer. My commoners on the right-hand flank will try to defend my right-hand side. At the same time, same thing with my yeomen. They'll just kind of move in and protect my flanks at the same time. And that's pretty much the battle plan I'm going with on this one. So with the battle plan over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Alright, so first off, starting off the Legion of the Hellmouth. On the far left-hand side, vanguarding up, we have Romana the Blood Tracker as well as Dokana the Destroyer. Those are 2 saber tusks, and they are vanguard up forward on the left-hand flank, getting ready to cause some trouble for my questing knights, it looks like. And making up the far left-hand side of our army is also Mashaf, the Sorrow of the Steppe. It is a stone horn with a rider, arm of the lance. And that pretty much makes up Mama Khan's left-hand flank on this one. In the center is where most of Mama Khan's infantry forces are located at. On the left-hand side of a unit called the Red Rovers, a unit of 6 Ogre Bulls with Bellower and Standard Bearer. They're equipped with hand weapons, light armor, as well as iron fists. And in the middle there, that is a unit called Stank Gums Legion, is a unit of 9 Iron Guts with full command. They're packing great weapons as well as heavy armor, and they also have the Dragonhide banner as well. And leading that unit, of course, are 2 characters. On the left-hand side is Tai-Jinn Khan, the Right Fist of Hell. He is a Slaughter Master who's armed with the Iron Fist. He's also level 4 Wizard, the Lord of the Great Maw. He's got the spells Spinemarrow, Bullgorger, Toothcracker, and Trollguts. He's also got the Fencer's Blade, Glittering Scales, as well as a Greedy Fist. He's also the general for this army. And right next to him is Khorghul, the Giant Breaker. He is a Bruiser. He's also the army's battle standard bearer. He's got heavy armor. He's armed with the Gold Sigil Sword, giving him initiative 10. He's also got the Enchanted Shield, and he's also got the Giant Breaker Big Name, giving him a +1 to his strength. And he also has, of course, accept any challenges that are issued. And then right next to the right-hand side, there's a unit called the Storm Seekers. It is a unit of 5 ogres with Bellower and Standard Bearer. They're equipped with hand weapons, light armor, as well as iron fists. And leading that unit is Shan-Yu, the Fire Fist. He is a Firebelly, who's a level 2 wizard, lore of fire. He's got Fireball as well as a flaming sword of Rhuin. He's equipped with a great weapon, and he's also got the Hell Heart. And that pretty much makes him Mama Khan's center for this battle report. And finally, make up Mama Khan's right-hand flank. We have the rest of her forces. Over there on the left-hand side, that is the Anvil of Hell. It is an Iron Blaster. Right next to on the right-hand side is the Hammer of Gods, which is also another Iron Blaster as well. Right between them is a unit called the Powder Gangers, a unit of 8 Lead Belchers with Bellower. They're equipped with Lead Belcher guns as well as light armor. And then finally, on the far right-hand side, we got the Beast Claw Raiders. It is a unit of 4 Ogre Mournfang Cavalry with full command. They're packing hand weapons, heavy armor, as well as Iron Fist. They're running Mournfangs, and they also have the Standard Discipline, giving that unit +1 leadership. And that makes up Mama Khan's right-hand flank for this one. So third deployment out of the way, we jump across the table to the Blackstone Crusade, which is my 3,000 point Bretonnian army. And over here on the far left-hand side is a unit of 8 questing knights. That unit's called the Hedge Knights. Is a unit of 8 questing knights with full command. They have great weapons, heavy armor, shields, as well as barded warhorses. And also leading that unit as well as Corbin of the Ravens. He is a monk of the Lady. He's wearing a barded warhorse. He's a level 2 wizard with the lore of Lady. He's got the Steed of the Lady as well as a Wrath of Righteousness. He's also got a Dispel Scroll. And right next to him on the right-hand side, that is a Blackstone Legion. Is a unit of 10 Grail Knights with full command. They're equipped with lances, heavy armor, shields, barded warhorses, as well as Grail Vows, and they also have the Battered Defense, giving them the 4 ward save against magical attacks as well as magic missiles and shooting attacks. And leading that unit as well is another one of my characters. That is the general. Her name is Remy d'Apion, the Duchess of Lioness. She's a Bretonnian lord. She's also a general in my army. She has shield, barded warhorse, and a Grail Vow. She's got the Virtue of Knightly Temper. She's also packing the Sword of the Lady's Champion as well as Syrian's Locket. And the Sword of the Lady's Champion makes it your character 1 strength higher than the enemy's toughness. Syrian's Locket is good because it also means that she can't take more than 1 wound per phase. And the Virtue of Knightly Temper means that every single time she scores a successful attack and a wound, she gains additional attacks as well. So a very, very Keely type of character right next to them. And then right there on the right hand side, those guys are the Hussars of Rhuin. It's a unit of 5 yeomen with crossbows. And in the center of my army, of course, I got 3 more units of knights. On the left-hand side, those guys are called the Silver Squires. They're a unit of 9 knights errant with full command. They have lances, heavy armor, shields, and barded warhorses, giving them the errantry banner, so they get +1 to their strength in the charge, but they have -2 for their impetuous tests against their leadership. And right there in the center, that's called the Pride of Lioness, is a unit of 10 knights of the realm with full command. They got lances, heavy armor, shields, and barded warhorses. And leading that unit are 2 characters. We have Warren, the Hermit of Shalon. He is a prophet of the Lady. He's riding a barded warhorse, level 4 wizard, Lord of the Lady. He's got the Steed of the Lady, Doom of Dole, Spiteful Glance, as well as the Lady's Virtue of Valor for his spells. He's also got the Silver Mirror. And also leading that unit is Rapunzel de Lioness. She is a special character, battle standard bearer for my army. She's packing the Sword of Lioness as well as the Fleur de Lis banner. And then right next on the right-hand side, there's another unit of 8 questing knights called the Templars of Dawn. They got full command, great weapons, heavy armor, shields, as well as barded warhorses. And leading that unit as well is another paladin named Lair the Beasts. He's got a great weapon, shield, barded warhorse, and the Grail Vow. He's also got the Virtue of Duty as well as the Curious of Fortune. And that pretty much makes up my deployment here in the center. And finally, secondly, we also have my right-hand forces on the right-hand flank. In the forest, I got 2 units of yeomen. On the left-hand side is the Darning Rangers, and the right-hand side is the Chasseurs of La Arve. They're 2 units of 5 yeomen with crossbows and horses. And then right next to them, of course, the Bowmen of Baritz, which is a unit of 20 peasant bowmen. They're equipped with longbows, defensive stakes, as well as braziers. And finally, making my far right-hand flank is the Ravenzan Guard, is 24 men at arms with standard bearer musician. They're packing halberds, light armor, as well as shields. And that pretty much makes up my deployment for this one. So with deployment over with, we go directly to the top at turn number 1, and both Mama Khan and I roll off for our initiative to see which of us will be going first. And that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Ogre Kingdoms. Mama Khan managed to get the initiative on this one, and the reason why is because I am also playing Bretonnians. I am going to take a knee there in the first turn, so that way I don't have to worry about, so that way I can get my ward saves and stuff like that from the Blessings of the Lady. So because that, Mama Khan automatically goes first. Now the first thing she decides to do is declare a charge. She declares a charge with Mashaf, the Star of the Steppes, against my Blackstone Crusade. I decided to hold my ground, but unfortunately for Mama Khan though, she wasn't able to make the distance though. She went up a good healthy distance though, running on the left hand side of that tower. So in order to prevent her character from being countercharged, she also moved up both of her Saber Tusks. Dolkhan and Romana go up in front and kind of just post themselves right before my Questing Knights, as well as my Grail Knights under by Mashaf, the Star of the Steppes, some time for the most part. Meanwhile, while that's occurring, she decides to march up most of her forces. Her infantry forces in the center move up just kind of gingerly up forward, so that way they can get a good counter-charging position against my knights. At the same time, she also brings up her powder gangers, moving up their normal moon allowance, so that way they can open fire with their lead belcher guns. And same thing with the Anvil of Hell, as well as the Hammer of the Gods, moving up forward so that way they can open fire with their cannons as well. And then lastly, she also marches up the Beastclaw Raiders up the right-hand side, hitting directly toward my commoners. And that pretty much makes up the move phase for this one. So here's a close-up of Mashaf, the Star of the Steppe, failing his charge, landing right in the middle of the battlefield with Romana and Dolkana, the Blood Tracker and the Destroyer, moving up forward in blocking positions in order to protect her Stonehorn from being countercharged. And here's a close-up of the Stormseekers, the Red Rovers, as well as Stankum's Legion, moving up as quickly as they can down the center, heading towards my forces. And here's a close-up of the Powder Gangers, as well as the two Iron Blasters, the Anvil of Hell, as well as the Hammer of the Gods, moving up to get ready to open fire with some long-range killing power. And finally, here's a close-up of the Beastclaw Raiders getting ready to charge directly into the right-hand flank where my commoners are located at. So with the movement phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. Alright, so the move phase over, we go directly to the magic phase, and Lady bless the Silver Mirror. For the most part, my opponent was unable to cast most of her spells because I was able to dispel most of them. However, she was able to put up the maximum boosted version of the Fireball spell, so Shan-Yu decides to burp up a massive ball of fire directly at the Pride of Lioness, my Knights of the Realm unit. But luckily for me, though, I did have the Silver Mirror, so because of that, the spell rebounded and went back directly onto the Ogres. Unfortunately for me, though, it only managed to put 2 wounds onto one Ogre, and it was pretty much lackluster for the most part. However, it was kind of funny watching a Fireball just kind of bounce back because of the Silver Mirror, so all hail the Silver Mirror as far as I'm concerned. The shooting phase, however, was not so great. As you can see in this photo, what ended up happening is that the Lead Belchers, the Powder Gangers, as well as the Iron Blasters decided to open fire directly into my units of Knights. The Powder Gangers, as well as I believe the Anvil of Hell, decided to open fire directly into my Knights of the Realm. As you can see, that they killed 4 of my Knights, and the worst part, they also managed to kill Warren, the Hammer of Shalom. The what ended up happening is that the Cannonball opened fire. I tried to take a Lookout Sir roll. I failed my Lookout Sir roll, so because of that, my Hermit of Shalom took a cannonball directly to the face. And secondly, as well, as you can see in the back there, another cannonball also from the Hammer of the Gods managed to go off and kill off one of my questing knights from the Templars of Dawn, so that part was really rough. And just like that, Warren the Hermit Shalom, my level 4 caster, is dead.
Something always brings me back to you. It never takes too long. No matter what I say or do, I still feel you here till the moment I'm gone.
And with Warren the Hermit Shalom dying, there goes most of my magic phase as well, which is absolutely horrifying to comprehend at this point. So, not off to a good start. So with the magic phase over, with shooting phase over with, we skip the combat phase because nobody's engaged in close combat. And we go directly to the bottom turn number 1 for the Bretonnians. So with that, we go directly to the bottom turn number 1 for the Bretonnians, and as you can see in this photo, I decided to go pell-mell is what I decided to do for the most part. So the first thing I decided to do is I scream a YOLO in the air and I start declaring some charges. So the first thing I do, of course, I declare a charge with my Grail Knights from the Blackstone Legion directly into Dolkana, the Destroyer. Dolkana the Destroyer did try to flee, but only fled back 5 inches, so I pursued anyways, overran Dolkana, killed that Saber Tusk, and go crashing directly into Mashaf, the Star of the Steppes. So because of that, my Grail Knights are now engaged that character. At the same time, I also declare a charge with my Hedge Knights, and Romana the Blood Tracker decided to flee as a result of that, so I let that character go, and I decided to redirect directly into Mashaf, the Star of the Steppes, and just like that, my Questing Knight unit goes smashing directly into Mashaf. So because of that, that Stonehorn is not long for this world. And since I was doing so good at the same time, I decided to do some more challenging. The first thing I did is I decided to declare a charge with the Ramazan Guard on the far right-hand flank because as a rule of thumb, it's always good to charge cavalry instead of being charged by cavalry, and since those are Mornfang Cav, I didn't want to mess with those guys, so I sent my Ravizan Guard charging directly into that unit to kind of, hold them down for as long as I can. At the same time, I also declare a charge with the Pride of Lioness. They go charging directly forward into Stankum's Legion, which is all kinds of awesome. I also do exactly the same thing with my Silver Squires. Unfortunately for me, though, I failed my charge. I think I rolled like a 3, so because of that, those guys only go for, I think, like 2 inches forward is all they end up doing for the most part, so that part was kind of tragic. However, my Templars of the Dawn, though, they managed to go careening, smashing directly into the Stormseekers, which is all kinds of awesome. The last thing I decided to do, of course, is move my normal forces. I marched up the Hussars of Rhuin forward to protect the left-hand flank of my Pride of Lioness. At the same time, I move up the Darnay Rangers as well as the Chasseurs of l'Arve. I just move up their normal wound allowance so that way they can open fire their crossbows directly into those lead bilgers, because those guys are made of the stuff of nightmares. And that's pretty much makes my move phase for this one. So here's a close of the left-hand flank with my Questing Knights from the Hedge Knights as well as my Blackstone Legion going directly into Mashaf, the Tsar of the Steppes, and I'm looking forward to that combat because I have no problem wiping the walls with monsters, especially when I got Questing Knights and Grail Knights going after it. And here's a close of the center with my Pride of Lioness smashing directly into Stankum's Legion as well as the Templars of the Dawn going directly into the Stormseekers, and you can see that the Hussars of Rhuin are there to protect my left-hand flank from the Red Rovers for the most part. And here's a close of the Silver Sentinels failing their charge. They could have been somebody, they could have been something epic, but them's the break at the most part. You can't get all your charges off, I suppose. And here's a close-up of the Chasseurs of l'Arve as well as the Darnay Rangers moving up forward so that way they can get closer to shoot with their crossbows. And at the same time, you can see that the Bowmen of Barretts are staying on the ground because they have defensive stakes, and I'm planning on shooting some fools with some longbow fire. And lastly, here's a close-up of the Ramazan Guard going directly into the Beastclaw Raiders, and I'm kind of interested to see exactly how that combat goes. I have no illusions that my peasants are going to get slaughtered by these Mornfang Cav because, they're not as highly skilled, and they're also significantly weaker than the Ogres, but at the same time, though, I might be able to cause some problems, and, all I got to do is kill one, right? If I kill one, they fail their leadership test, these guys have the potential of breaking, so that's the reason why I sent them in like this. And during the magic phase, I was able to cast Doom of Dole off directly onto Mashaf, the Tsar of the Steppes, making it +2 to wound against him, which will make it really, really helpful, as well as providing no armor saves, which is really going to help me out for us, especially during combat with my Grail Knights as well as my Questing Knights going into him. Having that 2-up wound is really going to cause some problems, because all I got to do is get past his mediocre weapon skill, and that can cause some pain on this guy. So with the magic phase over with, go directly to the shooting phase. I concentrate fire with the Chasseurs of l'Arve, as well as the Darnay Rangers, as well as the Bowmen of Barretts directly into the Powder Gangers. Managed to kill 2 of those guys, all things considered, which is all kinds of awesome. We got really lucky on my wound rolls on that one, so that part was pretty cool. Unfortunately for me, though, Mama Khan did pass her break test, so because of that, the Powder Gangers are going anywhere, so they're going to stand their ground, and I still got to worry about, 6 lead belchers? That's 6d6 strength 4 armor piercing shots I got to worry about, so that unit is still terrifying as all get out. So the shooting phase over with, you go directly to the combat phase, and as you can see in this photo, my Blackstone Legion as well as the Hedge Knights had no problem whatsoever putting their hurting on Mashaf, the Tsar of the Steppes. If I remember correctly, I believe it was my general that was able to finish him off pretty quickly, just with close combat attacks alone. It's because not only was she generating normal attacks, but she was also generating successful attacks after that for every successful attack that she did as well. Not to mention she'll had to roll a 2-up to in order to wound this character, so that part was all kinds of awesome as well. So just like that, with a scream into the wild, Mashaf, the Tsar of the Steppes, does die, and my unit's looking really boss, just standing there looking bright and bold. Alright, so with that we go directly to the close combat here in the center of the table between the Pride of Lioness as well as Stankum's Legion. Unfortunately for me, though, the combat was pretty much lackluster between both our units. The first thing that happened is that Mama Khan decided to issue a challenge with Khorghul the Giant Breaker against Réponse de Lioness. I decided to, of course, accept the challenge. However, I realized that Réponse's offensive abilities are not that great. She's mainly a defensive player because the Fleur de Lis banner allows her to cause magic resistance, which is nice, and take away Paradise, but her weapon, all it does is it makes an enemy's magical items mundane. That's all it does. So because of that, that's it. There's no additional strength bonuses or any real offensive capabilities for the most part. So because of that, she's not that good at close combat. So I made that mistake of accepting the challenge. So needless to say, Khorghul Khan as well as Réponse de Lioness, they actually did nothing to each other for the most part, so not much really happened there. from there we go directly to the combat phase, and the rest of the combat phase I was able to put 2 wounds on Stinkham's Legion, and that was it. I just could not get past our high toughness as well as our high armor save for the most part, and in exchange I lost 2 Bretonnian Knights at the same time. One of them was from actually just from the Gut Lord of this unit, you know, managed to kill one of my Bretonnian Knights, and I think the other one was caused by the Dragonhide banner because she decided to pop that breath attack, so that my unit always had strike last, and I also lost another knight for it for the most part. Needless to say, we didn't go anywhere for the most part, so both of us are still engaged in close combat. However, close combat between the Templars of Dawn as well as the Stormseekers was actually pretty good. Managed to kill 2 members of the Stormseekers, so that part was kind of nice as well. On the other hand, however, they did manage to put 2 wounds directly onto me as well, killing 2 more of my Knights Templar, so that part was not so great. Unfortunately for me, Mama Khan does manage to pass her break test, so because of that, these guys are standing to fight another round. And so now the combat in the middle of the battlefield is now devolving into a grinding melee between these units, and that's not good. Meanwhile, combat on the far right-hand flank between the Ramazan Guard and the Beastclaw Raiders. Oh, good gravy. That was so bad. They managed to kill 12 of my men-at-arms when it was all said and done. I only managed to put 1 wound onto the Beastclaw Raiders. Needless to say, I lost this combat bad, and I had to take a break test. And unfortunately for me, though, I'm not within range of any of my knights, so because of that, my poor Ramazan Guard had to take a break test on a Snake Eyes, and I fell. My Ramazan Guard ran, and they decided to pursue. And as you can see in this photo, they moved forward, I think, like 10 inches, managed to kill all the members of the Ramazan Guard, and ended up right behind my main lines, which is all kinds of horrible because now these guys can catch me in a pincer attack, and that's absolutely atrocious. So with that combat phase over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Ogre Kingdoms under Mama Khan's generalship. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Ogre Kingdoms, and this photo is taken after the move phase. And as you can see, for the most part, Mama Khan didn't really charge anything up forward in that sense. Pretty much things just kind of moved up normally or marched forward. The first thing she does move up her lead belchers to get closer toward my 2 units of yeomen right there, so that way they can open up with their lead belcher guns, which is all kinds of horrific. She also moves up her 2 iron blasters to the left hand side. Looks like she's going to do some pot shots with her cannons directly into my Blackstone Legion as well as my Hedge Knights as well, which would be all kinds of bad because cannons are terrifying. And then she does a march wheel, she does a swift reform real quick with her Beastclaw Raiders. They turn around and they face against the back of my bowmen, and they just kind of creep up forward just a little bit so that way they can charge in the next turn to finish off my bowmen. So that part is absolutely horrific. Everything else is engaged in close combat and nothing else moves. So here's a close-up of the center of the table. As you can see, the the Red Rovers, I do apologize for that. Mama Khan did charge forward. She sent the Red Rovers forward, is what she did, charging directly into my Hussars of Rhuin. So that part's kind of sad. Meanwhile, Stinkham's Legion as well as the Stormseekers are still currently engaged in close combat with my Pride of Lioness as well as my Templars of the Dawn, and so those guys will be going another round of close combat. And here's a close-up of the Anvil of Hell as well as Hammer of the Gods, moving up forward to take pot shots with their iron blasters against my Grail Knights on the far left-hand side of the battlefield. At the same time, you see the Powder Gangers moving up forward, the normal moon allowance, so that way they can start shooting at my yeomen in the center of the battlefield. And here's a close-up of the Beastclaw Raiders getting ready to charge with the rear of my Bowmen of Brits, which is going to be really painful once those guys charge in there and finish off my Power Archers. And that pretty much makes the move phase. So the move phase over, to go directly to the magic phase. And during the magic phase, my friend Mama Khan was able to get a couple of buffs off. She managed to get Toothcracker as well as Bullgorger off onto the unit of the Stormseekers, giving them +1 strength as well as +1 toughness because they're going to need it going up against my questing knights for the most part. Everything else didn't really matter much in terms of spells, and the reason why she was able to get those spells off so easily is because my level 4 caster got killed earlier, so that part was kind of rough. So with the magic phase over with, go directly to the shooting phase. So during the shooting phase, the Anvil of Hell opens up with this cannon shot directly into the Blackstone Legion. Luckily for me, the shot did not bounce directly into him, so because of that, that shot was pretty much wasted. However, the Hammer of the Gods, though, opens up directly onto my Silver Squires, managed to kill 3 of my Knights Errant, which is all kinds of bad. So just like that, 3 of them get chopped up by the Iron Blasters, so that part was really tragic. Luckily for me, though, I did manage to pass my break test, so because of that, my Silver Squires aren't going anywhere. They stand their ground. However, in the middle of the battlefield, though, the Darny Rangers, though, they get transformed into a pink, sickly red paste in the middle of the battlefield because the Lead Belchers decided to open fire with volley fire with the Lead Belcher guns directly into that unit, and they absolutely destroyed it. Luckily for me, though, my Chasseurs Alar do manage to pass leadership tests, and that's because they're within range of my questing knights from the Templars of Dawn, so they get to use their leadership. So, got pretty lucky with that result as well. So, the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, as you can see in this photo, it was absolutely horrific. I managed to put 1 wound onto the Red Rovers. However, the Red Rovers were able to kill off all of my Hussars of Rhuin. And of course, they overrun, and they overrun directly into the Silver Sentinels and catching those guys directly into close combat. So that part is horrific. Once again, combat between Stankum's Legion as well as the Pride of Lioness doesn't really do much of anything. We're just kind of stuck in a stalemate for the most part. I'm not able to wound any of her fighters, and her fighters aren't able to wound any of mine. Mine so much because I have higher armor saves and I also have ward saves. That's the reason why I'm making most of my guys survive. Whereas her, she has higher toughness, and I'm having a hard time penetrating that because I don't have any strength bonuses for my lances. So that part was kind of rough. Meanwhile, combat between the Templars of the Dawn as well as the Stormseekers does kind of go my way. I do manage to kill one of the Stormseekers, which is awesome. They weren't able to do anything back to me. However, my friend Mama Khan, she passed her break test, so because of that, no harm, no foul, and her unit is still standing. And that pretty much makes the combat phase for this one. So with the combat phase over with, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Bretonnians. And here is the top bottom of turn number 2 for the Bretonnians. This photo is taken after the move phase, and as you can see, not much movement really took place for the most part. Everything that's pretty much major in my army is currently engaged in close combat. I did march up the Hedge Knights as well as the Blackstone Crusade. I had a march around the tower to the left-hand side, so that way they got a good flanking charge directly against Stankum's Legion. So I'm literally looking forward to those guys bringing the pain. At the same time, I also move up the Chasseurs of La'Arv up forward in order to get into blocking position against the Lead Belchers of the Powder Gangers, so that way they can't really shoot anything else, and if they do shoot, they have to shoot at my unit of yeomen, and that's pretty much, they're just kind of sacrificing themselves to save the rest of my units. And that pretty much makes the move phase for this most part. So here's a close-up of the Hedge Knights as well as the Blackstone Crusade marching up forward to get ready to charge my next turn and ready to bring the vengeance and the pain for the Lady of the Lake. And I'm really looking forward to that combat coming when I manage to be able to do that. And here's a close-up of the Silver Squires take on the Red Rovers, and between you and me, I know my Silver Squires cannot stand a chance against these Ogres. They don't have any strength bonuses for charging, so because of that, the only thing they can rely upon is their high armor save, and that's the only thing they have going for them at this point. And here's a close-up of the Pride of Lioness as well as the Templars of the Dawn, currently engaged in close combat with Stankum's Legion as well as the Stormseekers. And finally, here's a close-up of the Mornfang Cavalry getting ready to charge the back of my Bowmen and Barrettes for the most part. So with the movement phase over with, you go directly to the magic phase. So during the magic phase, I did try to cast Wrath of Righteousness against Stankum's Legion, and I managed to get that spell off with a miscast 6, so that part's kind of nice.
Klaatu! Miranda!
However, what was not so nice is that my spell failed to wound anybody for the most part, so because of that, I did nothing wrong. And plus, when my mage detonated and exploded, I managed to kill one of my my questing knights from the Hedge Knights as well, so that part was absolutely tragic. And to make matters worse, I wasn't able to cause any wounds against Stankum's Legion, and ended my magic phase prematurely, which is all kinds of painful. So with the magic phase over with, you go directly to the shooting phase. And the shooting phase, I managed to put a floating wound directly onto one more of the Lead Belchers, managed to kill one guy, and put a floating wound on another member of the Powder Gangers, so that part was kind of nice. It was a combined fire between the Chasseurs of La'Arv as well as the Bowmen and Barrettes, so, you know, I'll take what I can get at this point. So with the shooting phase over with, you go directly to the combat phase, and combat between the Pride of Lioness and Stankum's Legion took a bad turn. First of all, once again, just another stalemate between Rapunzel Lioness as well as Khorghul the Giant Breaker. Not much really happened there. However, I wasn't able to cause any wounds back against Stankum's Legion, but Stankum's Legion was able to kill one of my knights. So with one of their knights killing one of my knights being killed, as well as their 3 points of rank bonuses as well, as opposed to what I did, basically they beat me by 4s ended up happening on that one. So because of that, my leadership drops to a 6, and I have to take a break test. And unfortunately, I failed that break test. Not only do I fail that break test, but when I rolled a run, I run like 5 inches is what I end up rolling for the most part. Stankum's Legion decided to pursue. They ran forward 7, and those ogres just chopped down what was left of my Knights of the Realm, killing such noble blood sworn to the Lady of the Lake. And just like that, I lost my battle center, bit of Rapunzel Lioness. I also lost my entire unit of Knights of the Realm, and that part was just absolutely horrific. I don't know what it is about Mama Khan, man. Mama Khan is like my kryptonite. Whenever I go up against her, whenever I go against anybody else, I have no problem defeating their armies, none whatsoever. When I fight against Mama Khan, though, I get my butt kicked. I mean, she is my anti-win. I don't really know what it is about her ability. I mean, for one, she's a really good player, and two, she kicks out her army like a boss. But man, it's just like my luck evaporates whenever I fight against her in these kind of battle reports. and combat between the Red Rovers as well as my Silver Squires. I was unable to do anything to them. They were able to kill one of my Silver Squires in return, so because I do lose combat, but luckily for me though, I do pass my break test, so because of that, the Silver Squires live to fight another day. And then just like that, my luck does begin to turn around. Combat between the Templars of the Dawn as well as the Stormseekers go my way. I managed to kill one of their ogres and they weren't able to do anything for me. So because of that, I win by 4 on this one because of the 3 wounds I caused, as well as my rake bonus. Lady Domina, sorry, not Lady Domina, Mama Khan has to take her break test. And unfortunately for her though, she fails that break test. She runs away, I pursue, I chop down the rest of her units, so that part was all kinds of epic, and I also run directly into the Anvil of Hell, catching that Iron Blaster directly into the right-hand flank, which is all kinds of awesome for me. So with the combat phase over, we go directly to the top of the turn for the Ogre Kingdoms. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Ogre Kingdoms, and this photo is taken after the movement phase. As you can see in this photo, Mama Khan decides to finally charge in the upper right-hand corner, sending in the Beast Claw Raiders directly into the back of the Bowmen of Brits, so that part was kind of horrific. And at the same time, she also does a swift reform of Stakeum's Legion, facing off to the left-hand side to face off against my Blackstone Legion. At the same time, she also moves up the Hammer of the Gods of Forge, so that way it gets closer fire with this cannon. And she also decides, instead of charging forward with their lead belchers, she decides to kind of wheel them up forward to the left, so that way they can face off against my Blackstone Legion open fire with their lead belcher guns, so that part is kind of scary. Granted, it does open up her flank to being charged by my Chasseurs La'ar, but at the same time though, my guy's only yeoman, and she's like, you only got yeoman, I don't care, so she moves him over, and that just kind of rose me the wrong way. She doesn't even think of my 5-minute man yeoman as a threat, and that's because they're really not. I mean, they're not really there to win. Yeomen are there to die, which is actually kind of funny. So because of that, she turns her forces sideways so that way she can start engaging some long-range combat, so that part was kind of epic. So here's a close of the move phase. As you can see, Stakeum's Legion, the Hammer of the Gods, as well as the Powder Gangers are turning the left-hand side to cause all kinds of problem with some long-range cannon and cannon fire from the Iron Blasters, as well as from the Lead Belchers. And at the same time, the Anvil of Hell is currently engaged in close combat with my Templars of the Dawn, and at the top there you can see that my Silver Squires are still in close combat with the Red Rovers. And here's a close-up of the Beast Claw Raiders going directly into the back of the Bowmen of Brits, and I know my Bowmen are dead. There's nothing I can do much about it, especially since these guys charge forward. And to make things worse, they also got the really good long-distance charge on that one, so they get bonuses for their impact hits, so that part's just all kinds of tragic. So with that, we go directly to the magic phase, and during the magic phase, my opponent decides to roll for the Winds of Power. She rolls Snake Eyes on that part, so because of that, magic phase is primarily a wash for the most part, so she wasn't able to get any of her spells off, so that part was kind of cool. And in the shooting phase, good gravy, the shooting phase. Oh my god. As you can see in this photo, she decided to concentrate fire with the Hammer of the Gods, as well as her Lead Belchers and the Powder Gangers, and they go directly opening fire into my Hedge Knights, which is all kinds of bad. As you can see in that photo, that unit got cut in half. That was all kinds of bad. And to make matters worse, I have to take a break test, and I fail my break test. So my Questing Knights run, and not only do they run 12 inches to the left, and they run off the edge of the table, and because of that, they flee the battlefield. So that part is horrific, and I pretty much lost the blessing of the lady at this point because one of my units, knightly units anyways, have broken. So because I don't get my ward saves anymore, so that part was absolutely atrocious as well. So with that, we go directly to the combat phase. In the combat phase, my Templars of Dawn was able to finish off the Anvil of Hell, which is all kinds of cool. We do a quick combat reform to go 180, so that way I can start gauging Mama Khan's forces there in the center of the table. Meanwhile, the Red Rovers had no problem whatsoever destroying the last of the Silver Squires, so just like that, my Knights Errant unit got killed. And because they got destroyed, they do a quick combat reform to face off the left-hand side, so that way they can flank against my Blackstone Legion, so that part was horrific. And as you can see in this photo, the Bowmen of Brits, man, those poor archers, they got killed to the last man. Just from impact hits and normal attacks on the Mornfang, as well as normal attacks on the Ogres, it was absolutely horrific. Killed every single one of my Bowmen to the last man, unfortunately. And I was unable to do anything back against these guys either, so that part was horrific as well. And they kind of do a little combat reform to kind of shimmy over to the left-hand side, so that way they can engage in close combat as well. And it's at this point I decided to call the game. I only got my unit of Grail Knights and part of a unit of Questing Knights, and Mama Khan still pretty much has her entire army, so I decided to just kind of call at this point. And just like that, the Ogre Kingdoms of the Legion, the Hellmouth, managed to pull the win on this one, and also caused the very first defeat for my Blackstone Crusade. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the After Action Report, because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
Uh-huh.
But my place is here, so I swallowed the juice, said the words, and here I am.
Did you say the words right this time?
Well, maybe I didn't say every single tiny little syllable, no, but basically I said them, yeah. Basically.
Alright, now it's time for the After Action Report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action Report for the Golden Age Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report number 106, and this one ended up being a defeat for yours truly. In the end, Mama Khan managed to score 2,535 victory points, while I only scored 956. For my losses, I lost Warren, the Hermit of Shalon, Rapunz the Lioness, Corbin of the Ravens, the Pride of Lioness, the Silver Squires, the Ravazan Guard, the Bowmen of Baritz, the Hedge Knights, the Darnay Rangers, and the Rhuin Hussars. Mama Khan, she lost Shan-Yu the Fire Fist, the Storm Seekers, Romana the Blood Tracker, Dolkana the Destroyer, the Anvil of Hell, as well as Mashaf the Sorrow of the Steppe. Mama Khan destroyed me in this battle, and I think the reason why I lost this battle so much is because I decided to hesitate. I decided not to just fully commit on the left-hand side in the front, and I think that really got me messed up as well, because I didn't want to get countercharged by the Ogre Kingdoms, and because of it, Mama Khan's shooting elements were able to shoot my army to pieces. She just kind of took my forces off bit by bit by bit. Iron Blasters and Lead Belchers are the stuff of nightmares, and it really shows in this battle report, especially since they got pretty high strength as well as armor piercing, and it just went right through my armor like it was nobody's business as well. And to make matters worse, she also outflanked me on the right hand flank, destroying my peasant units with her Beast Claw Raiders, so that part was really horrible as well. Not to mention, taking the Mashaf off the start of the steps on the left hand side was also a bad idea as well. I committed one unit of my Grail Knights as well as one unit of my Quest Knights into Mashaf the start of the steps, and what that did is it kind of put me out of position because it prevented me from dealing with the other elements of our army, and that's where really much I made the mistake. I pretty much gambled on Mashaf the start of the step instead of focusing on the other units as well, so that was one of the problems. For example, sending in the Pride of Lioness to take on the Stinkums Legion was a really bad call. I should have used my Questing Knights to take them on, because if I got tar pit, at least my Questing Knights would have great weapons. They get, strength bonuses in the attack. Instead, I didn't do that. I used my regular Realm Knights of the Realm, and because of that, they got tar pitted against it, so that was really, really bad as well. Plus, killing off Warren the Hermit of Shalon really hurt my magic phase in this battle. Without my magical supports, my units were much easier to destroy, so that part was kind of rough as well. And like I mentioned before, Mama Khan is my kryptonite. Whenever I face against her, she always destroys my army. This is from not just the recent battle reports we've done with this year, but even back when we were playing, 10, 15 years ago for the most part. She would always destroy my guys all the time, which is great because, it just shows you how good of a player she is. She's been out of the game for a while now, and it's awesome that she's getting back into the hobby again and spending time with my gaming group and I, with her husband and I, and the rest of us, fighting us up. So that part was kind of neat as well. So it just kind of shows you how good Mama Khan is in the end. In the end, though, like I said before, this was an awesome game against an amazing opponent, and as always, I am looking forward to the rematch. So that's good to do for this one, you guys. Battle Report 106 is now in the books. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is always appreciated. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news on this channel. That's good to do for this one, you guys. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.